this modern chip in the white scarf.
I can't do this right now.
There is nothing in the ocean that we need fear.
I can't, I have to really have my wits about me today. I have to give a talk and stuff, but I have to focus on that. And then, you know, I have to have things happen like that. I'll be leaving here in the next hour if I were you.
I already turned it down.
Yeah, it's still a little too loud for me. I can't, you know, I can't keep doing it.
Sophie! Sophie, what a surprise! What are you doing here?
I had to get away from Baltimore for a couple of days.
Sophie, what is it? Something wrong?
Fred Essenhoff asked me to marry him.
Why? What did you tell him?
No.
I thought you were well disposed toward him.
Do you know what he said to me, Father?
What?
That Johns Hopkins would never grant a woman tenure in the zoology department. That the only way to do the kind of research that I want to do is to marry him and assist with his.
Sophie, I know very well I've had little influence over you since your mother died.
You influence me in everything.
Let me influence you in this. Marry him.
Are you Professor Aronnax, curator of marine biology at the New York Museum of Natural History?
I am. And who are you, sir, if I may ask?
Rear Admiral John E. Sellings. Clear the room, sir. I have a matter of utmost urgency to discuss with you. The Scotia was caught from behind while doing 18 knots under full steam. It was not a collision. It was an incision. A very precise one. Passengers hardly knew anything had occurred till the crew came above deck sounding the alarm.
Astonishing.
How can we be of help in this matter, Admiral? My expertise is in zoology and my father's is in marine biology. Surely this was done by some kind of warship.
No, young lady. In our judgment, a seagoing, fully submersible warship capable of doing this is a physical impossibility. That is why we have come to you, Professor Aronnax. We understand you have a theory that could account for this.
The common narwhal, or sea unicorn, can attain the length of 60 feet.
You need the computer right
It's
now.
called sea unicorn because of a sharp ivory lance that protrudes from the lower member. It is essentially a tooth with a hardness of steel.
Are you saying a hole in the Scotia's hull was caused by a narwhal?
In prehistoric epochs, the land produced life forms of enormous size that gradually grew smaller and more efficient to meet the challenge of their changing environment. But sea never changes, especially at its greatest depths where life began. I believe that those depths harbor creatures of an enormous size that have not evolved or changed. I refer to such undiscovered life forms in my theory as proto-leviathans.
Is such a thing really possible?
My father has devoted his career to proving that such proto-leviathans exist.
This thing has attacked 3 American steamships of the White Star Line in the North Atlantic sea lanes. The USS Abraham Lincoln sails at first light under Captain Michael Farragut's command. Its mission is to search this thing out and destroy it. Will you help us find it?
I have to come.
It's much too dangerous.
And it isn't dangerous for you?
Sophie, for the last time, it's impossible. The Navy will not allow a woman aboard a warship about to undertake a hazardous mission. The Admiral was absolutely clear.
But he didn't say anything about bringing your assistant.
Welcome aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln, Professor Aronnax. I am Captain Michael Farragut.
Good morning, sir. It's a pleasure to be aboard. This is my assistant, Mr. Charlie Darwin.
Darwin?
We were just having a look at the vantage from the bow. We intend to follow the concentration of plankton on the hypothesis that a creature such as we seek would feed in the most efficient manner, which is, of course, the large-scale consumption of plankton.
You have to stand in the bow to do this?
We'll be taking measurements by means of interferometer readings. Therefore, we have to see the plankton before the ship disturbs it.
And this will lead me to the monster.
If our hypothesis is correct, I believe it could.
Please.
Charlie?
We have a whaler aboard who expects to be stationed in the bow if we need to call on him. He's a prickly sort by all accounts, but he also happens to be the finest harpoonist in the American whaling fleet. I've asked him to step in for a moment to make sure he understands about you being in the bow. He's liable to throw you overboard otherwise if you get in his way.
Of course. I'll try to explain it to him.
You won't let him bully you, will you, Mr. Darwin?
Rather shy, I'm afraid.
Don't tell me you found the damn thing already, Captain. We're barely out of New York Harbor. Evening. Ned Land.
Mr. Land?
Professor Aronnax and his assistant, Mr. Darwin, will be advising me on the search for our target. They will be setting up their instruments in the bow.
Instruments. Well, I wasn't aware that we were going to serenade this beast, Captain.
If you will excuse me, sir, I'd like to retire.
Of course, Mr. Darwin.
I will begin my observations at first light.
Mr. Land, you will accommodate Professor Aronnax and his assistant.